Okay, welcome back to another video on the Maths channel. It's your teacher, Mr. Lim here. In this video, we're going to be looking at rounding decimals. So by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to write numbers with a specific number of decimal places and round them to a specific number of decimal places. So before we do that, let's have a look at this recap. Round the following numbers as indicated in the brackets. So question A, round 59 to the nearest 10, etc. So I'll get you to pause the video, have a go with this one yourself, and then you can check your answers. Okay, so let's check our answers. So question A, 59 to the nearest 10 is 60. B is 32, C 120, D 190, E 200, F 900, G 100, H 600, and I is 2000. Alright, hopefully you got them all correct. So now we can have a look at rounding decimals. So the first part of this lesson is writing numbers with a specific number of decimal places. So a number that has three numbers after the decimal point has three decimal places. For example, 13.085. We can see here that there are three numbers to the right of the decimal. Therefore, this has three decimal places. Okay? We will often call this 3DP, decimal places. Can you write a decimal that has two decimal places, 5 and 1? Have a go with this one. Alright, so there's pretty much an infinite amount of answers you could write. I'll just write an example for question A. We could have 13.62. Okay, this has two numbers to the right of the decimal place. Therefore, it is 2DP. Question B, 5 decimal places. Let's just say we've got 63.12409. That's five numbers to the right of the decimal point. So that's 5DP, 5 decimal places. And one decimal place, we can say 4.2. Okay, one number to the right of the decimal place. Sometimes decimals have many decimal places, and instead of writing them all, we round the decimals according to what the question is asking. So sometimes when we put a calculation in our calculator, for example, if we did 1 divided by 7, it's going to give us a really long answer. In fact, this decimal goes on forever, but because our calculator doesn't have enough space, it just rounds it for us. So sometimes the question will just ask you, instead of writing all of this down, sometimes we can't because it goes on forever, just write it to two decimal places, just round it. So in this case, it would be 0.14. Okay? Alright, so let's have a look at the next part of this lesson, which is rounding decimals. So a question like this could be round 467.03497 to two decimal places. Sometimes you'll see 2DP, that just means two decimal places. So we're looking at this, and we need to write an answer that's either 467.03 or 04. Okay, 03 or 04, because that's two decimal places. We only want two numbers. We only want two numbers to the right of the decimal point. So the question is, which one is it? Is it 03 or is it 04? What we need to do in order to determine which one it is we need to look at the critical digit. Now the critical digit is just a number after the decimal place which the question is asking. So because the question is asking two decimal places, we're looking at the third number after the decimal. So 1, 2, 3, we're looking at that number only. We disregard everything else, just ignore them. We're only looking at this number. Now, if that number is 4 or less, then it stays at the 03. If that number is 5 or more, then it's going to round up. That 03 will round up to 04. So when we look at this, we can see, actually, it's a 4. So it stays at 467.03. Okay? So in this case, that's exactly what we wrote. 467.03497. This is the critical digit. We ignore everything else. That tells us, because it's 4 or less, that this stays the same. It's 467.03. So, I might do these three with you, and then I'll get you to work on this table. So the following decimals need to be rounded to 2 decimal places. Circle the critical digit in each, and then round the decimal to 2 decimal places. So because we want 2 decimal places, the critical digit is the 3rd decimal place. So 1, 2, 3. Let's just circle all of them. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Right, we ignore everything else, all the other ones. Alright, so that means, if we have a look at question A, this will equal to 15.6, well, is it 64 or is it 65? That 6 is 5 or more, so it rounds up to 65. Question B, we've got 784 point, is it 02 or is it 03? Well, that 4 tells us it stays at 02. Alright, question C, is 0.0, well, is it 00 or is it 01? That number here tells us, because it's 5 or more, tells us that it rounds to 01. So that's the answer. Alright. So I've got a whole bunch of decimals here that I want you to round to 1 decimal place, 2, and 3 decimal places. I might do one more with you, and then I'll get you to have a go with the rest. So 1 decimal place, 798.04682. Let's highlight. For 1 decimal place, the critical digit is 4. So I got 798. Now, is it 0.0 or is it 0.1? The 4 tells us it's just 0.0. All right. For 2 decimal places, we're looking at the 3rd number. So it's going to be 798 point, is it 04 or is it 05? Well, that 6 tells us that it's 05. Three decimal places, we're going to look at the 4th number. So that tells us it's going to be 798 point. Is it going to be 046 or is it going to be 047? Well, that 8 tells us it's going to be 047. Okay, because that 8 is 5 or more. If it was 4 or less, then it will stay at 046. Alright, so pause the video, have a go with the rest of these, and when you're ready to check your answers, continue playing the video. Alright, here are the answers. So, for 1043, for question B, 1 decimal place is 1043.3. 2 decimal places is 1043.32. Because 2 decimal places, we're looking at that. Oh, the 9 tells us that the 31 is going to round up to 32. For 3 decimal places, we look at the 4th number. That 9 tells us that the 319 will become 320. Okay, so that's how it rounds up to 320. Question C, we've got 5.0679. 1 decimal place, so we look at the 2nd number. Rounds to 0 up to 1, so 5.1. 2 decimal places, look at the 3rd number. That 7 tells us the 06 rounds up to 07. 3 decimal places, look at the 4th number. That 9 tells us the 067 rounds up to 068. Okay, 67 goes to 68. 16.42040073. 1 decimal place, look at the 2nd number. That 2 tells us the 4 stays the same. 2 decimal places, look at the 3rd number. The 0 tells us the 42 stays the same. 3 decimal places, look at the 4th number. The 4 tells us the 420 stays the same. We don't round up. So if it's 4 or less, stays the same. 5 or more, rounds up. 70.6897. 1 decimal place, look at the 2nd number. That 8's bigger than 5, so that 6 rounds up to 7. 70.7. 2 decimal places. Look at the third number. That 9 tells us that 68 rounds out to 69. 3 decimal places. Look at the fourth number. Oh, that 7 tells us we need to round up to 689 to 690. That's why I wrote 690 here. 89.995124. 1 decimal place. Looking at the second digit. That 9 tells us we need to round this 9 up. So at the moment it's 89.9. Rounding that up will become 90.0. 90.0. 2 decimal places, look at the third number. Well, that 5 tells us that 99 needs to go up to 100. So this 89.99 will become 90.00. Okay, do not write 89.100. A lot of people do that. But you can see here, this is 3 decimal places when we wanted 2. So do not do that. And for 3 decimal places, look at the fourth number. Fourth number is a 1. That tells us that 995 stays exactly the same. It doesn't go up to 996. So it's 89.995. Alright. And that's it. That's it for this lesson. So, I hope you found this video helpful. You should now know how to write numbers with a specific number of decimal places and round them to a specific number of decimal places as well. If you have any questions, comment down below. If you did find it helpful and you liked it, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one. See you.